Hi everyone, I'm Kat and welcome back to another Chats with Kat, and this topic, as you can see from the title, is going to be a little bit more sort of a sensitive subject. It's a touchy subject, I know, so I'm going to give you a trigger warning right now. If this is going to, because I'm going to be talking about self-harm in this video, so if that's going to be any kind of trigger warning to you, then I suggest that you click off the video now, because I'm going to be talking about it quite in an in-depth way. So yeah, only watch this if you're completely comfortable with hearing about these things. Okay guys, so the first thing that I want to say is that somebody actually requested that I make my next Chats with Kat on this, and I thought, okay, well, this is a subject that actually can relate, like a lot of people can relate to, whether you be a boy or a girl, although I think it is more common in girls, I'm pretty sure, to self-harm, but a lot, boys do it too. So it's not just exclusive, but a lot of teenage girls have done it, and I'm gonna say I have. If you didn't already know that, and my cat is going to try and interrupt my video with a wet tail, please. Okay, this is not a funny video, I'm sorry. I have done in the past, and I just want to say I've been clean for over a year now. I think the last time that I did that was last January, I think was the last time. And I'm comfortable with talking about it now. It doesn't bother me to think about it now, because I know that there's a reason that I did what I did at the time, so I don't feel ashamed of myself. I know that it's something that a lot of people do to cope with things like depression, because that's honestly like the reason why have I got my earphones in? My cat, please! Stop knocking things over. Yeah, I take my earphones out now. I don't know why they were in. I knew there was something wrong when I was about to record this video, and is that my earphones were still in. Right. Anyway, guys, so yeah, I'm here to help you. If you still are a victim of this, which, you know, people that are still doing it, they may not want to watch this video, so they may not even be this far into the video right now, but I want to give you some tips to sort of stop. And first of all, I'm just going to talk about why people do it and stuff, in case, like, if there's anyone here who's never done it and they don't understand why people do, let me just give you some kind of an insight. I'll talk about my experience with you guys. So the first time that I ever self-harmed was when I was about 15 years old, which was 3 years ago. And the reason why is because, honestly, I'd seen pictures and stuff on Tumblr. Like, you see it, don't you? You see the pictures of the cuts on people's arms and stuff, and you're like, why? Because I said I'd never ever do it. I said I'd never ever self-harm, which is obviously you can do other things to yourself other than cut yourself, but the most primary thing that people do is cut. And the reason, I don't even know why I did it. I know that I was in quite a bad place at the time. I was sort of a victim to a little bit of cyberbullying at the time, which may not seem like a big deal to you guys, but it really affected me at the time. There were these boys that sort of said some stuff to me. I felt very hurt and upset by it. There was some other stuff going on at the time as well. I really can't remember what it was though. I know that it wasn't just that people were calling me names and stuff like that, because it'd be, you know, I wouldn't just do it over that. It'd have to be something pretty big. And yeah, I just know that I was in a bad place. And I felt out of control, because sometimes when you get so upset and worked up over everything that's going on around you in your life, sometimes you just lose control. And when you feel out of control of your emotions, you have no regard for anything. You will honestly resort to just about anything, which, you know, some people, it goes a lot further than self-harming. It could go even to like suicide, but I've never really been at that point. I mean, there's been times where I just wish I didn't exist and I just like want to disappear, but not actually take my own life, because I know how it would affect the people around me. So yeah, and then, you know, I felt out of control, so I just thought, I'm gonna do this. I have to do this. I need to know like what it's like, because I heard, you know, on Tumblr and stuff, I'd seen that people said it was some kind of a release or something. I'm just like, how could it possibly anything good come from hurting yourself, but you don't understand until you've actually tried it. So obviously I got a razor, which you know, the razors that you shave your legs with or whatever, and I ripped off, like I tried to rip off like the sharp parts of it. I didn't want to just like use the actual razor and just go like that. I wanted to like rip the head off of it or whatever. And I think I did manage to do it, or I managed to get like a blade out of the blades, because there's like a few blades on them. And then I just sort of, the first time I ever did it was kind of like not properly, do you know what I mean? I just sort of scratched myself, and it only left like, you know, those white marks on your skin that you get when you get scratched? It was that. I wasn't actually cutting open, because I was scared to cut myself open. I was so scared. You're so scared when you do it. And yeah, and then the next couple of times that I tried, you know, I managed to draw blood, which is sort of what you want, isn't it? Because the reason I said that I did it is because I'd rather bleed than cry. I was sick of crying, because all crying did was just give me a massive headache, and it made me feel sick and like I'm gonna throw up. And I'm just like, you know what? It's just easier, isn't it, to just cut yourself and feel the release and the blood rather than the tears, because, you know, crying's a lot more messy, it gets into a lot bigger of a state, but cutting yourself, all it does is just leave some cuts on you. But that was obviously not the right thing to do, because, you know, you don't want to have scars and stuff on your skin, and it's just horrible, really. When I'm talking about this, it sounds so horrible to me, because at the time it doesn't sound horrible to you and it doesn't look horrible to you, but when you look after, you're like, why did I do that? And you feel guilt. But honestly, when you cut yourself and you feel the release, because it's, you know, you see the blood and you're like, it like releases some kind of like adrenaline, and it distracts you from the emotional and mental pain that you are feeling. And that is why people do it, is because it is a distraction away. It takes them away from that awful emotional pain that they are in, that they cannot even bear to handle anymore. Because when you just get so out of control of your emotions, you just do it, you know? And it's just so difficult to try and contain yourself, isn't it, really? Because now, when I get super upset, I don't really do anything. Like, sometimes, you know, I've had thoughts even after I'd stopped doing it, like to do it again, but then something always stopped me. And that was because I knew that it was hurting so many people around me, that I was hurting myself, and I thought, I can't do that to them anymore. I was strong enough to know that I cannot do that to other people, because the first time I did it, obviously, and then I told a friend about it. I confided in a friend about it, and then he was very concerned for me, so he told my parents, he told my mum, and I was like, oh my god, he's betrayed my trust, blah blah blah. But, you know, he was concerned for me, and he wanted my parents to know that I was doing it. And then, honestly, the worst thing ever happened. You know, I was just like sitting in my room, my dad knocked on the door, and he came in my room, and then he just looks at me and just says, you've been cutting yourself. And seriously, my whole world just came crashing down at that point, that my dad knew, because I thought it was only my mum that knew, and oh my god, I just didn't know what to do. I fell apart right there and then. And he asked if he could see it, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to show you my cuts. I didn't actually do them on my arms. I did them on the tops of my legs and on my stomach, where people weren't going to see, because I thought, I'm not going to do it in a place that people can see, because I was going to school at the time. And yeah, he wanted to see, and I'm like, no. And then, you know, I just made him leave my room, and I just cried. I'm like, why would you even say that to me? And I just, and honestly, you know, I remember going to school, and when I put on my school uniform over the cuts, it was like my shirt was rubbing against the cuts, and it really hurt. It hurt me to like bend down. I had so many cuts over me that it was just stinging while I was at school and stuff, and I couldn't like let anyone know. I couldn't tell anyone. And just, you know, it was just a really bad time for me. And I remember my mum had a conversation with me on the way home from school, and she said that she did it as like my age as well, and she like tells me what I need to do to try and stop. Like, she said I can write things down rather than doing that and stuff, and it did help because I actually tried that out. You know, I tried just writing things down, but it doesn't really give the same effect that the cutting did. And you know, I was like clean for a while or whatever. I remember I did actually have some on my arm as well. Like one time I did actually do it on my arm, which was a bad idea, obviously. And then, you know, I stopped for a while, and then, you know, I got into a relationship with Aaron, blah blah blah, and then I was in college, and that's when the depression really started up. When I was in college, I was so depressed when I was at college, and then I started doing it again, like only on like a couple of occasions, I think, and then Aaron found out, and he was extremely upset with me. It was a horrible time. He never wanted me to hurt myself, and I think that's what really helped me stop for the final time, and that's why I've never done it since. It's because I know how much it hurt him and how much it affected him. I thought, I can't do that to him. I can't do that to him anymore. And I think, honestly, if I wasn't with Aaron at that time, I would be in such a terrible state. I would have been in such a terrible state, because then nothing would have really stopped me, because nobody else really knew about it, because nobody else could see, and nobody else like had figured it out again. So yeah, it's just about finding other ways to really cope, and just know that when you're hurting yourself, you're hurting everybody else as well around you. And you know, those people love you, they don't want you to hurt yourself, and you're affecting them, you're making them sad. And it's like, I don't want to make anyone else sad when I'm sad, so I have to find my own way of coping with it. So that's just really my journey through self-harm. I always used razors, always used the razor blades, and I just cut across my skin until it bled. And that's how a lot of people are doing it, really. And they were never really deep cuts, though. I do want to say that they were never really that deep. And I think now the marks have disappeared pretty much. I still actually have a couple of marks on the top of my right leg. They're barely noticeable at all, but you can still see where a couple of the cuts were, where a couple of slightly deep ones were, because I made maybe like a few deep ones, but not enough to really like fear for my life or anything. I never cut into any like veins or anything, because, you know, I wasn't really doing them on my arms, and even when I did, they were only like small ones, because I don't think I have any marks on my arms at all, because they were so shallow, and so they just healed up and they're completely gone now, which obviously is from years ago now. And you know, I haven't really spoken about this, I don't think, so I think maybe I've mentioned it before in a video that I did actually self-harm like those years ago, but I haven't really gone this in depth with it and told you guys my real story and experience. And you know, I'm sure some people can relate to that. And yeah, I really just wanted to discuss this. It's really hard to talk about, I know, because it's such a sensitive subject, and I don't want anybody to take away from this that it's okay to just do this as an alternative, but I'm just saying, I understand why people do it, but I will not do it again. So just please, guys, you know, if you're in that situation right now, there is a lot of things that you can do, and you know, if all else fails, you know, you can always get help and stuff. And you know, if you're in that situation, you can always talk to me personally. I'll have a personal actual conversation with you, and I can tell you more, and I can try to help you out as much as I can at that time. If you're just feeling so out of control that you don't know what to do, then you know, I am here, and there's a lot of ways that you can reach me. I'd say if you ever want to have like a conversation with me, probably just go to my personal Twitter, which is CathLariaXO. You can request to follow me on there. I will follow you back, and then you can tweet at me, or you can DM. Well, you can DM me asking for a conversation, because I don't really think it's a good idea to have a conversation through DMs because of the character limit. But you know, I have a Facebook page and whatever, but I don't always check it. So you'd have to sort of prompt me first to speak to me over the Facebook, because I don't really check it much and I always forget about it. So I do apologise for that, guys, but I want to end this Chats with Cat on a good note. So I've spoken to you about my experience, you know, why people do it and stuff, and that I completely understand the position that people are in. And, you know, if you've ever been a victim of this, then, you know, I hope that you're better now. I hope that you're clean. And, you know, if you relapse, don't worry, because one day you will be able to get out. It's not going to last forever. You're not going to be depressed forever. And, you know, some people just have to use it as a coping mechanism at the time. And it's such a horrible one, I know, but it can be so hard for people to stop. And if it takes you many relapses to finally come to a stop, that's still fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people just can't help but slip back into it, which I completely understand. So what I want to do to end this video is I want to give you alternatives to what you can do instead, and I want to try and give you some positive things to take away. So I actually have a thing in my files for any time that I ever feel like doing it. I will look at this as a reference. So yeah, alternatives. I have a picture and I'm going to read you guys some alternatives. Okay, I probably won't read you all of these because there's a lot of them on here, but I'll read you sort of some good ones. Okay, so first of all, you can go to the gym, or you can dance, or you can exercise. Now this is a great way for sort of releasing emotions that you have, is actually doing some kind of exercise or dancing, because you can express your emotions through your movement and what you're doing, and it just sort of channels the positive feelings and just throw away the negative ones, and that is quite a good way to get rid of it. Or you can write your feelings down on a piece of paper, and then you can just tear them all up and throw them all over the place, or you can even burn them. But if you want to burn them, I advise that you do it outside. Don't do it in your house, because you might accidentally set something on fire. So you can go outside and you can burn that paper. You can, what's this? Oh, you can run your hands under freezing cold water, because that's like a really kind of weird, horrible sensation, isn't it? And it's like something you can do instead. Another one that's similar to that is holding an ice cube in your hand. Now, God, does that hurt? And that doesn't really harm you as much as actually self-harming yourself, like cutting yourself, does. So you hold that piece of ice, and that is gonna goddamn hurt your hand, and then that can be your release, because if you want to inflict pain on yourself, then that is probably one of the best ways that you're going to do it. I mean, you shouldn't inflict pain on yourself anyway, but like I'm saying, some people just want to at that point, and I'm not saying that's completely out of the question. You can't just say you can't inflict pain on yourself. You're absolutely not allowed to. I'm just saying, you know, it's not a good thing to do, but if that's the only alternative that's going to be helpful to you, then that is one of the best ways you can sort of do it. Or you can clap your hands until it stings, clap your hands really hard until they go red, because that's not going to leave any scars. It's just going to sting for a while, and then it's going to be back to normal. You can also, you can do some things to just try and relax yourself, like take a shower, take a bath. That's one of the things that relaxes me. Take a bath with ice cubes. I guess you could do that. You could take an icy cold bath, but that might be a little bit extreme. You can also just scribble over some paper and stuff, or just violently scribble over things, if you want to. You can use it as a time to try and write your emotions down. You can write them in this form of song lyrics, or you can just completely write down exactly what you're feeling at that moment. It's sort of like a diary kind of thing that can help to sort of vent your feelings out on paper. That's something I did that helped me for a little while, actually, is I just wrote my feelings down, exactly what I was feeling at that time. Even if I had to use a million swear words, it helps to get the emotions out. Or you can also reorganize your room, you know, you can be productive, you can move things around, or you can throw things around if you really want to. Or you can, this is not actually, some of these on here are not actually helpful, to be honest. Like, what's your favourite TV show or movie? At that point, when you're out of control, you don't want to watch anything. So I wouldn't really advise that one, to be honest, unless you know that it can help you, but I know it definitely wouldn't help me. Or trying to think positive really doesn't work at that point. It's just all about letting it pass. You have to let that completely out of control moment pass. So, yeah, or you can make a notebook of song lyrics from songs that already exist that you can like relate to at the time. Sometimes I write down song lyrics that are relevant to me at the time and it helps. Yeah, so that's just a few of the things you can do. You know, you can always look up more on the internet if you really want to, if you think that these aren't going to be helpful, but I think some of those are quite good things to do at the point. But yeah, there are a lot more on here. There's a lot more that you can possibly do. You know, you can draw, you can paint and all that kind of stuff. Whatever you think is going to help you the most, guys. But I hope this has been helpful to you. This is just me discussing my experience, discussing it as much as I can. I probably could go on for longer, but I don't want to ramble for much longer because I've said most of the things that I really want to say in this video, and I want to end this on a positive, that there's always something you can do instead. It is going to pass one day. You're not always gonna be in this. It feels like it at the time. God, I know. But now I'm such a much more happier person, and it is just the age. It honestly is. As you get older, you really just stop caring about the things you cared about anymore less, and you become more happy within yourself. It just takes time to accept yourself as a person and be happy within yourself. I still don't fully accept myself. I don't like myself every day. I don't always have great self-esteem, but I'm slowly learning and growing and accepting myself, and it really just does come with time, and it comes with age, because you'll find most teenagers are, you know, they have low self-esteem, they're depressed, they're self-harming, because, you know, puberty is a hard time to go through for a lot of people, and there's a lot of crap that happens in that time. So it can be hard to deal with, guys, I know, but I promise you, everything will be okay one day. No matter how bad it is for you right now, everyone can get out of a dark place. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and please let me know any more topics that you want me to talk about, because, you know, I'm struggling for topics to talk about. I really want to be able to talk about much more things with you guys, and it's nice if somebody requests it, isn't it? Because then you know they're going to watch this video and hopefully it's going to be helpful to them and it's going to be nice. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope that this helped, and I'll see you in my next video.